What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about the Moondrop Kadenz, a new single dynamic driver IEM coming in at $189. The Kadenz is ostensibly the final IEM in Moondrop's K series of single dynamic driver IEMs, which started with the Moondrop Kanas way back in 2019. I never actually reviewed the Kanas or its successor, the Kanas Pro, but I have reviewed pretty much all of Moondrop's single dynamic driver IEMs from the Starfield onwards, with the notable exception of the Kato. I was a big fan of many of the earlier Moondrop single dynamic driver IEMs, including the original Starfield and Moondrop Aria, but I felt that the value proposition of some of their more recent entries in the series, including the two direct sequels to those two IEMs, has slipped considerably as the rest of the sci-fi market has caught up. So, is the Kadenz a return to form for Moondrop, or more of the same? Let's find out. Before we get into the review, I want to give a quick disclaimer that my review unit was sent out to me by Shenzhen Audio. As always, I'm not being paid to make this review, and my thoughts and opinions are my own. First, let's talk about what comes in the box. The Moondrop Kadenz comes with a generous selection of accessories befitting its relatively high price tag. You get 3 pairs of normal gray silicone ear tips in small, medium, and large sizes, as well as 3 pairs of Moondrop spring tips in small, medium, and large sizes. Unfortunately, no foam ear tips are included with the Kadenz, which would have been a nice touch. The beefy included cable is terminated in a 4.4mm balanced audio jack, and a 4.4mm balanced to 3.5mm single-ended adapter is included in the package. The Kadenz includes both a round, zippered, semi-rigid carry case with an internal mesh pocket, as well as a small unbranded gray carry pouch. There are also 3 different lengths of swappable nozzles for the Kadenz. These measure basically identically, and I assume are primarily intended to assist the listener with fit and comfort. I've always had issues with the shallow fit of a lot of other Moondrop single dynamic driver IEMs, and I found that swapping to the longest nozzle actually helped quite a bit with this. The metal housings themselves have a unique polygon-inspired design and feel very premium. With the long nozzles, they fit securely as well, and isolation is actually above average. Finally, the Moondrop Kadenz comes with a DSP-enabled USB-C DAC amp called the Moondrop Echo B that comes preloaded with 5 different EQ profiles for the Kadenz. The Echo B can also run custom PEQ if you prefer to design and load your own settings. Interestingly, the Echo B can also download user-uploaded PEQ profiles from Moondrop's app. There are profiles available for a number of Moondrop's other IEMs. I think that the Echo B and the user-uploaded PEQ profiles from Moondrop's catalog of IEMs probably deserve their own video, so for my review, I am just using the normal profile, since I assume this is how Moondrop intends the Kadenz to be used. Let's go ahead and pull up the graph and talk about the sound. I'll also drop the link to these measurements in the video description. The tuning here is very much in line with what Moondrop has been doing for the last couple of years. You've got a sub-bass focused bass response that tapers gradually down through the mid-bass into the lower mid-range rather than something more tucked. A somewhat recessed lower mid-range that rises into a plateau-style upper mid-range that is most elevated around 3 kHz, and a pretty rapid roll-off coming out of the lower treble that comes back a bit in the upper treble region. Subjectively, I think that the sub-bass and treble are better than what the graph might suggest, as I don't hear the sub-bass as being particularly rolled off, and there's enough overall treble energy to avoid blunting detail retrieval too much. Overall, the tuning here is pretty par for the course for Moondrop, which is both a good and a bad thing. On the plus side, it's still perfectly adequate, inoffensive, easygoing, and acceptable for most listeners. On the other hand, there is still not a recognition that there's a better way to handle the lower mid-range in IEMs. If we take a step back from the Kadenz, my issue right now with Moondrop is that when they've tried to break away from their more conventional style of tuning, they've gone in the wrong direction, usually by dialing the upper mid-range up to 11. It hurts me a little bit to say this, but I don't think that recycling this kind of tuning for the umpteenth time is what a major brand like Moondrop should be aiming for as we close out 2024. Switching gears now, it does really help that the Kadenz has generally excellent technical performance, particularly in the bass and mid-range. The bass is quick, precise, and detailed, with great texture. Overall mid-range clarity and instrument separation are great, and instrument timbre is very natural sounding. The soundstage is surprisingly expansive as well. All of this is to say that fast, complex analog percussion really shines with the Kadenz. I don't like the presentation of vocals as much as analog percussion. Male vocals are pretty intelligible, but are lacking in body as well as detail and grit to some extent. They just sound a little too smooth. I also think female vocals, while not sibilant, are too forward and a little bit husky sounding. I think the presentation of distorted electric guitars is just about spot on, with just the right amount of presence to ensure a crunchy and not buzzsawy delivery. The treble is where the Kadenz falls flat a little. There's limited insight into treble transients, and very little real sparkle or internal detail to cymbal crashes. I think that this is where the Kadenz really falls flat compared to a similarly priced hybrid IEM. Something like the SimGot SuperMix 4 is going to provide much better treble extension and overall detail retrieval. In fact, for the price that the Kadenz comes in at, I would just rather take the SuperMix 4. To wrap this up, I think that for better or worse, the Kadenz is yet another Moondrop single dynamic driver IEM. It basically met my expectations, and at this price, I really would have liked it to have exceeded them. If you've made it this far, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Until next time, this is Bedrock Reviews, signing off.